Hello, hello.
Hello, 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 everyone. We are here. I'm excited for this conversation. Give me 2 seconds. Y'all already know I have to share it to my personal page. Make sure you guys are like logging in. So, if you have not, my name is Cierra G. Wiles. I am the Career Clarity Agent, and today, I just wanted. I'm glad to be back. Like, I'm just glad to be back because it's just a great season for us to grow. It's a great season for us to develop. And so clarity convos are back and I'm just pumped. I'm here. How you feeling, Coach Willena?
I feel great. It's
Yeah.
Monday. Mondays are always good days.
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
set the expectations for the week. So it's been great, and I'm good to be here.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right. If you guys are just tuning in, please make sure that you share this broadcast to your personal pages, whatever. We want to try to spread the word. Um, because one of the things is the main purpose of this conversation is so that we can really help people get educated in this area of tech. But not only that, but to really reframe and reshift how you're thinking about approaching careers, how you're thinking about approaching leadership positions. And so this conversation is definitely one you don't want to miss out on. So please make sure you're sharing this broadcast. And I'm also making sure that it is broadcasting to our Facebook page as well as our IG page and I mean not IG but YouTube and LinkedIn. So hello everyone who's all over. Hello, hello. All right. I see some people are popping in on Facebook. What's going on, y'all? Tap in with me. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let me see here. Do I have my my chat piece on here? Normally, hey, if y'all see me, hear me, please make sure you go ahead and oh, we on there. Thank you, Shamaya. I appreciate it. I see you. So we are officially live. So let's go ahead and get the conversation started. I'm excited to be here once again. So, Coach Willena, let's go ahead and start this conversation off. Hey, Shamaya, thank you so much for sharing the broadcast for us today. So let's go ahead and kick it off. How are you, Coach Willena? Please introduce yourself to the platform. Like we have had the ability to connect outside of what we do, and you're just a wonderful individual, wonderful being to just be connected to. Very like-minded, and so that's always important whenever you're on a journey to, really grow and be intentional about, business development, entrepreneurship, like all of that good stuff. So I'm just excited to connect with you also. But yeah, tell the people who you are and all that good stuff.
Yes, yes. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. I am Coach Willena. I am an executive leadership coach. I like to say that I am an executive leadership ninja and I help leaders slay their dragons. But typically that gets frowns, which I encourage because it's my story and I'm sticking to it. But I am the CEO of Career Boss Academy, where we help people turn their careers into thriving businesses because we are the steward of our own journey. And I specialize in helping leaders at every level, whether you're not leading people just yet, but want to, and whether you're leading the entire organization, work their way up the corporate ladder and become the CEOs of their own company. So super excited to be here today.
Awesome, awesome. And so thank you so much for that introduction. Like I really want to get right into it. So tell me about your journey of even becoming a coach. Like how did you get to this place?
Yeah, so I have been in the talent acquisition space for over a decade now. And what got me into what I'm doing now as far as coaching and whatnot is there was a gap. A lot of people were not representing themselves in interviews appropriately and properly. They were missing out on amazing opportunities. And, there are times where we're not able to share all of the information, but I wanted to kind of reach back to the people and help them identify where that missing gap is
Yeah.
and how to articulate yourself in the interview, um, how to represent yourself in the best way possible,
Yeah.
so that you can get the most money, right?
Right.
A lot of people sometimes will come in and representing themselves well, and as a result, they were getting lowball offers.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiation,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, because you're a coach as well, it doesn't start. Negotiation doesn't start at the offer. It starts when they see your resume. It starts when they see your LinkedIn profile. And
Yeah.
so, if you want to attract the right opportunities, you have to start from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that too because sometimes people do, they kind of approach um, new careers trying to be optimistic, thinking, "Oh, I don't necessarily need a coach," or trying to figure out like how can I truly make this career pivot transition, and I want to try to do it by myself, right? And
Mhm.
so a lot of times people do, we need that help. Like we need people to stand in the gap for us. And I am also just always still blown away by the statistics of that still 60% of women still do not even negotiate their salaries. Like that is still mind blowing to me because there's so much money we're leaving on the table. Right. And
Mhm.
so this really actually adds and enhance to this particular conversation because everybody is talking about tech. Everybody's trying to pivot to tech. Everybody's trying to run the tech. And even for the minorities who are hearing a lot about it, but fearful because they don't necessarily feel like they have the skills, they don't have the degrees, they don't know how to code. Can you give us just a little bit of roundabout as far as what is truly like tech? When we think about it, like most of us think about apps, we think about computers, but in your industry, even as a recruiter, like as an overall, what is this industry?
Tech is everywhere. Tech is literally in every single company. Tech, a lot of people think tech and they think, oh, Facebook, Meta, you think maybe even Tesla or Amazon or something like that, or tech only like that lives online. But truly, tech is everywhere. Tech is in every organization, just like marketing is in every organization, just like legal is in every organization. So you don't necessarily have to focus on where, if I want to get in tech, I've got to work for these big companies. And tech is not simply just one thing, which is, someone who's an engineer, with 100 monitors in front of him,
Yeah.
just chomping away eating Cheetos, right? It's not the stigma. That's not just what tech is. Tech looks like me. Tech looks like you, working in tech companies and industries and supporting tech people. Tech is recruiting. Tech is marketing. Tech is legal. Tech is customer service. So don't think that you have to be this genius to work in this tech company, or that you even have to have a degree. I myself started my career before I even knew what tech was, as a
Right.
preschool teacher, right? I started as a preschool teacher and then shifted into corporate America, answering phones like everybody else, right? Like a lot of us are, taking call center jobs. And
Absolutely.
I continued to push forward and find my lane, which became the recruiting space. And I took this recruiting space to the top, right?
Yeah.
So with my experience from a preschool teacher, I've now catapulted myself into the biggest tech companies in the world. Yes. So it doesn't have to, like the example I provide, you don't have to have this
Yeah.
software engineering degree and computer science and all of that. It's not required anymore.
Yeah, and I love that. I love what you said too. Even making a transition from being a preschool teacher to going into tech. And so, even as a recruiter, working in tech, what are some of the biggest kind of like misperceptions whenever it comes to people even applying for tech jobs? Like some people don't even know exactly where to start. So what are some things that you're kind of seeing even when it comes to the minority community? Like what are some things that you're seeing, or maybe just some misperceptions that people have about entering into tech?
Yeah, I think number one is that you have to check all the boxes. That's probably the biggest misconception, is that
Yes.
you have to check 100% of the boxes in order to qualify or even apply. A lot of people are,
Mm,
saying, "Oh, I'll never make it. I'll never make it," but they've never even tried. If
yeah.
you can fill maybe 60% of the job description, it's worth applying. It's worth applying, right? Like, you don't
Yes.
have to be this perfect person,
Yeah.
especially right now. There's major initiatives of hiring minority individuals into organizations. So
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to shoot their shot. The worst they're
Yeah.
going to say is no, but
Yeah.
at least you put yourself out there, and you just continue to do that.
Ab-
Continue to put yourself out there.
Absolutely. And I love that because that's what happens. The fear comes in and just completely paralyzes people because it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have everything that is on this particular job posting. Like, I don't have this and I don't have this. Like, and sometimes people think, well, I can't do this. Right. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things we probably are definitely coaching. Like, they're going to train you, like, take a
Yes.
deep breath. Right.
Mhm.
Um,
That's right.
but even in that, so many people are probably trying to figure out, how do I even transition to tech if maybe I don't have a degree, or maybe I'm transitioning from education. Can you kind of walk us a little bit as far as maybe somewhat of what that process may look like, as far as like some transferable skills that may be relevant to tech and how people can use it to make this switch?
Absolutely. So if we're using the example of a teacher, right, the
Yeah.
easiest transition is probably going to be a trainer, right?
Yes.
You're already educating, you're already teaching students. These students happen to have grown up into adults, and now
Mhm.
you're teaching them a different curriculum. Now, there's going to be training involved in that. You could even be looking at program management positions,
Mhm.
project management positions. These are things you're already doing. You just
Yeah.
have to, sometimes what most people don't realize is the importance of just looking at some of these job descriptions and seeing, like, where do I fit in?
Yeah.
If I had to
Yeah.
provide a checklist of the things that I've done, look at the couple of job descriptions and see how you've done all of these things.
Yeah.
The ability to manage teams, to work cross functionally, the ability to manage competing priorities. All of those things are things that you've done as a teacher,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you're looking, let's say let's say you're a nurse or something, and you want to
Mhm.
get into tech, lean in on the companies you already work for. Healthcare is going to
That's
have tech
good.
inside of their organization. If you can somehow get the buy-in of your manager, and then the position you want, maybe you can shadow for a few months, an hour a week, just to get your foot in the door. And then when those positions present themselves, you can apply. But there's tech in literally everything.
And that's so crazy you said that because we have the career code, which is our exclusive just kind of community. And I talk about not being afraid to ask for shadowing experiences.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we don't think, we're always thinking like, I don't have the experience. I don't have the experience. And most people always relate, internship shadowing experiences to more of our young adults and college students who are trying to make a transition. And it's like, hey, this could be the perfect opportunity for you to make this pivot, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so to even expound upon that, like when you're talking about tech and being able to go into possibly just a different department working in tech, and of course, maybe you have your cover letter, maybe you have your resume, you got all of these things, right? Now you're ready to make this pivot and transition. What are the top maybe two, three things that you feel like people need in order for them to seal the deal?
Confidence. You got to
Mm-hmm.
be able to sell yourself in every conversation. If
Yeah.
you don't believe you belong there, neither will I.
Yeah.
You have to believe that you belong there, even with limited or no experience. Still
Yes.
own the room.
Yeah.
Confidence is probably almost more important than skill, because it's believing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, they're going to train you
Mhm.
regardless. Even if you've worked, even if you've worked with the system, they still have to train you on how they operate the system,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So the second thing is, of course, skill. What are some of those non-tangibles experience that you have, that level of
Mhm.
communication, that level of team involvement, working with others. Those are things that you've been doing all day, every day anyway.
Yeah,
Those are important tasks. You got to be able to engage with others. And
absolutely.
then if I had to say the third one would probably be adaptability. When you're working in
Ooh,
tech, it changes a lot. If you work for a non-tech company and you're doing tech things, it changes. And if you're working for a tech company doing tech things, it changes. You've
yeah,
heard that in the news recently, right? A lot of these
yeah,
tech companies are experiencing layoffs left and right.
yes,
You've got to be able to pivot. For example, the people that are still there that have not been
hmm,
affected by layoffs, now they have to pivot because who else is picking up those roles? Let's say it's a recruiter. Now those positions go to who's left behind. So now their desk has exploded with jobs or exploded with work. Now you
yeah,
have to pivot and adjust your priorities to fit the requirements of the job, or
yeah,
whatever projects that you have.
yeah.
So I'd say those are the top three things that, confidence is number one on that list, though, because that's who you're bringing in every day. That's who you're bringing in every day with you.
Absolutely. And I love that. Like it brings me to, so like you gave us the three things that we absolutely need, but you touched on one thing because I know people are very like optimistic, but at the same time still resenting kind of this move into tech because they are seeing so many layoffs.
Hmm.
And I know that a lot of this is coming from, COVID and this whole transfer. We were trying to help and put people back into jobs
Hmm.
and the market itself is just balancing itself out, right? And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
we typically are going to see this just about every decade, every about 10 to 15 years, right? And so even in that, security, job security, most people are trying to probably figure out like, you know, layoffs, I don't really know. Should I still go into tech? Should I, consider it? What are your thoughts on that?
Tech is certainly so what happened was a lot of these companies that you're seeing in the news did some massive hiring during COVID because everybody was at home. They
Yeah.
thought probably the pandemic was going to last a little bit longer than it did, that people weren't going to be as open to going back outside as they
Yeah.
were. And so they kept mass hiring. And so now, fast forward, people are out, right? Look at Peloton, for example. They banked
Yes.
on, hey, everybody's going to stay home and work out with this equipment. But the second they had an opportunity to run down the street, they ran down the street. So there's that piece of finding their footing.
Yeah.
Um, as you mentioned, history, does have some elements of repeating itself. I
Yeah.
do believe that in 2023, half of these positions will come back.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
objective is building the skill set because the more you can, so right now, let's say you're brand new into tech, right? You might be, here's the role
Hmm.
of someone has experience with the position, and here's you, right?
Right.
Every position you have gives you more and more experience. Now if
Mm,
you go through a layoff, you still have gotten the experience even if you're shifting to another place. So
yeah.
this point, your objective is to just continue to get yourself up to the level where you need to be, and then you'll be to a point where you'll be here and
Oh, I
you'll
love
be
it.
so qualified for every position, they'll be begging you to go into
Yeah.
their role. So
Yeah.
that comes with a level of confidence, of course, as well. Like, yeah, you want me because I'm the best, and then a level of skill. Like, I've been doing this. Of course, you need me. I'm
Oh, absolutely.
experienced. So you just have to keep pushing. And so, yes, the roles will return. They will come back. In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't predict the future, unfortunately, but I do believe that they will come back, and I do think it's a great place to still have goals to be. But remember, tech is not just one place. Tech
Yeah.
is everywhere.
Absolutely. And I love that what you said, because it's actually leading us into the next conversation of leadership, because you were talking about just, that upward mobility within corporate America and being able in tech and just climbing the ladder. You're getting experience.
Hmm.
And as you're getting experience, typically comes with a level of confidence. Like we
Hmm.
do this, it doesn't matter. Like you talked about education, when
Hmm.
you've been doing it so long, it becomes like a second nature. So you're confident to be able to do it and continue to move forward in that.
Hmm.
And so it just helps to be able to just like really move the needle. Like it really does. So it really helps us to be able to grow into some of these upper leadership roles and positions. So talk a little bit about that, like, because you are the executive leadership ninja.
Hmm. Thank
um,
you.
yes. So if you can talk a little bit about that, like how do people even gain the experience to get into executive leadership?
You just keep doing the thing.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward, keep asking for more opportunities, keep your hand raised. Now, am I saying that you should be overexerting yourself, reducing your work life balance? Absolutely not. But when you know you have a little bit of downtime and you can take on a little bit more, raise your hand. Hey, I know that the team is objective for this quarter is this. I'd like to lead that. What can I do? You're already going to be doing the work anyway. If
Yeah.
you all you have to do is add a little back end data, okay, let's do that. You want to continue to show your leader and cross-functional teams that's important of working with other teams, because you never know what they are going to need. And if you have visibility, that's what has helped my career thrive as much as it has, is visibility. It's
Yeah.
not my direct report that's necessarily helped me get there. It's give me permission, right? Because there's a hierarchy
Mhm.
involved.
Yes.
Give me the permission I need. Although, if you know me, I don't need it, but to be able to show that I can do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need is one time.
Right.
And I right. So you just need to be able to raise your hand, volunteer. If you see projects where they're looking for support or literally looking for volunteers, raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Listen, you are speaking. I mean, we're career coaches, so like, but you're speaking the language.
Hmm.
Because we talk a lot about helping people get into higher paying positions. I know, like, definitely that's one of my expertise is being able to help people transition and
Hmm.
pivot, but also get into higher paying careers. And that's one of the things that I talk about often is raising your hand and really like going for it, truly
Hmm.
showing up, maximizing your superpower, doing what you do best, and
Right.
showing that off, because
Yeah.
that's what employers really want to see. Like it always brought me back to my own personal experience going
Hmm.
into roles, nothing completely being done, and me coming in and like building programs, or having to go in and build some type of curriculum, or maybe we're doing something in higher ed and we're having to develop some type of marketing plan or something like that. And
Hmm.
so whenever you start using your strengths to start building, this is the thing that actually leads you into that executive leadership.
Right.
Now we're here, right? Because you have
Hmm.
literally coached us from the bottom, and we're just growing, right? We're
Hmm.
just growing. Now we're in leadership. Now
Hmm.
we're in leadership. Not everybody has the skill set to stay in leadership,
Hmm.
because most people don't realize that leadership is really about self awareness.
Hmm.
And so if you individually are a person who is not self aware, who lacks a lot of emotional intelligence, then
Hmm.
you're typically going to bleed on your team, right?
Hmm.
And so can you talk a little bit about the some of the skills that's required to be sustained in that executive leadership roles?
Yeah. So this is a fun one.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about this because it's a passion of mine. Is because I do believe that we all have leaders inside of us. We lead ourselves, right? Well, we should be able to increase that ability into
Absolutely.
people leading or leading programs, projects, person, places, or things, as I like to say. So if we're talking about the people piece, the number, you put the nail on the head in terms of emotional intelligence. You
Yeah.
have to be able to As a leader, you need to be able to speak the language of your people, not just your own language. And that's a tough one because most people think from a self perspective and they don't think of others. That's just how we're this is it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to be able to recognize that we're not all going to receive. It's just like your love language. We're not all going to receive information the same. You have to
Yes.
respect your employee and identify what do they need. How can
Yeah.
I speak to them so they feel heard, but my message is coming across.
Yeah.
The other thing is vulnerability. Nobody likes a perfect person, right? Be now again to your point. Nobody's saying bleed out on us. Please don't
Mm-hmm.
tell me I don't know if this company's going to be around tomorrow, y'all. Please. But I do need more leaders to be vulnerable because that's where the likability comes in.
Yeah.
If you have a team right now who is struggling, who's not doing so well, really ask yourself, do they like you? And I'm not saying that the goal is to be liked, but
Yeah.
there is a piece that they need to like you in order to want to follow you. Now, there's a respect piece, right? But
Yeah.
if they like you, it comes from them understanding you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're not trying to be besties here. I'm not trying to go out with you after work, but
Right.
I need to at least trust you. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where the vulnerability comes in. Because if I know that you're willing to at least be human, that means I can be human. Your
Absolutely.
team doesn't trust you, they'll make mistakes and never tell you.
Yeah.
You find out when it's too late and now it's blown up in your face.
Yeah.
So those two things are super important. And another thing to still recognize as a leader is time management. You've got to still honor your time and
Mm-hmm.
your people's time.
Yeah.
There's very few positions, if we're looking at the grand scheme of what type of manager you could be in your entire life of every company in the entire world,
Right.
that's going to require 24/7 access to you. If you're a doctor, maybe you're a lawyer, in the healthcare or legal field, something
Mm-hmm.
of that nature, there's elements of 24-hour access. But beyond those things, I don't need to talk to you after 5 o'clock.
Right.
You know,
Right.
honor your people's times based on, of course, the industry you're supporting. I said that I did a conference. I spoke at a conference last week, and I was like, this was a healthcare conference. So I was like, normally I would tell y'all, unless you work in healthcare, and meanwhile, all of y'all work in healthcare. So that work-life balance is a little different, but still honor the time regardless,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think those are the top three things because that's going to be amongst the entire industry of
Absolutely.
leadership. And
Absolutely.
sometimes people don't want to lead people. I don't think it's because they don't, there may be some people that don't like people, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's more so having trust in other people. That's really
Mm-hmm.
the kicker for leaders who have become leaders and then reneged and went backwards because they couldn't trust. But the reason you can't trust goes back to one of my pillars is the MVP,
Yeah.
right? To be an effective leader, you have to embrace the madness, the value, and the process, right? If you're going to be the most valuable player as a leader, you have
Period.
to embrace all of those things. Excuse me, it was madness, vulnerability. You need to embrace those things in order to be the leader that you need to be for your team.
Listen, I told you this earlier. You was on your live, and I was like, "Talk that talk, Coach Willena. Talk that talk," because sometimes we don't realize like how important it is. Like, because when we essentially start to think about higher paying positions, really getting into these executive leadership roles is where the money is at.
Mhm.
And so being able to also be sustained there and being able to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
I got to come back on this point because you talked about this trust. And one of the things that I have realized, and this is just across the board, that I see most people deal with is control issues.
Mm, mhm.
It's control issues. And so there's a fear that if I tell you to do something, you're not going to do it the way that I want you to do it.
Mhm.
Right. And so I found this to be true. I do a it's called setting boundaries in the workplace, because a lot of this is having to learn how to create emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries, because a lot of times most leaders, they'll start to bleed out, or they'll start to, become very toxic,
Mhm.
because they want things to be done exactly how they want it to be done, and they
Mhm.
don't leave enough room for grace. And
Mhm.
I always say that, like, if you're working, you're going to be growing. As an employee, you're always going to be growing. As a business owner, we're always going to be growing. And so we need grace to grow. And so even in leadership, we have to apply that same thing. Like, we got to extend people grace to be able to grow, to make mistakes, but at the same time be able to correct those mistakes, like you talked about, like this whole respect factor,
Right.
um to where that is also implemented too. But I think it's just the true essence of treating people like human beings,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Mhm.
I think that's just the purity of it. Like, we have to learn how to treat people like human beings. So I wanted to touch on that because that was so good. Most people really do fear, because they have control issues. They just want to be in control of every single thing. So when you said that, I was like,
That's it.
that's it.
And the funny thing about control, people who want control, is the reason they want it is because they know they can't have it. Because you can't control your spouse, you can't control your child, and now you want to try and kind of control other adults that
Talk
aren't your
about it.
family.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
there's a piece of people. There's a difference between seeking control and seeking to be followed, to
Oh,
success, right?
yeah.
Control is kind of like that dictatorship. Nobody really wants that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be told. Nobody likes to be
Yeah.
micromanaged. In case no one told y'all today, no one likes to be micromanaged. Now, there are people that need to be checked in on a little more frequently than others, but
Yeah.
nobody wants to feel your breath on your neck. Like, what you doing? What you on? How long you gonna be there? Nobody likes that.
Hello, somebody.
And
Hello.
that goes away from that like piece, right?
Yeah.
I don't like you because you
Yeah.
constantly checking in on me and you're not
Right.
giving me enough room to breathe. In order to
Yeah.
be an effective leader, you need to be able to show trust to your team so they can become you. If they can't do the job without you breathing down their neck, there's a bigger problem.
Yes. You know what? Okay. So y'all know I am very big on, like, career stuff, but we get ready to make a pivot because this conversation is so good. So um everybody knows, like, I'm passionate about business owners, entrepreneurs, like, y'all getting to the next level. Yes, we all are here to make money, to grow businesses, but I'm also more about the well-being of the person. I believe that we shouldn't have to sacrifice everything of our well-being to become successful, right? And so in that means that we're to become and be who we are naturally supposed to be, and who we're called to be, in the marketplace. And that in turn helps create the productivity that we're looking for and the results that we're looking for in the success. And so when you're talking about now executive leadership, now I'm going to pivot because I want to talk to the CEOs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because as CEOs, we are frequently and always, like, in a position to where we're having to wear so many hats, but we're also managing teams.
Mm.
And sometimes the lines can get blurred when it comes to being able to trust your team, being able to trust even sometimes for yourself. Like, everybody, if you're an entrepreneur on this, nobody can tell me that you've never had to question yourself about business on, like, period. And so talk to me about some of those leadership qualities, because you coach people in the business sector as well, people who are basically transitioning or getting ready to make a pivot, maybe to get ready to become a coach, get ready to become a consultant. Talk to me about that transition, and maybe some of the top skills that you see that most CEOs don't have that they need.
Grace
Ooh, that's good.
is number one because it's all on you,
Yeah.
right? You literally feel like is on your back, there you don't give yourself a lot of grace to make the mistakes, to not have the good quarters, and that can be a stressful thing. How many
Yeah.
times do you hear about these CEOs having heart attacks and being having health conditions and things like that based on the level of stress?
Right.
They're not giving themselves grace.
Yeah.
And I think it's a dirty word that people think, at that level, you think grace is a dirty word because it's like, we don't have time for that. But when you
Mm-mm.
did, I mean, you should have made time.
Right. Right.
When you get voted out because you didn't give yourself, sometimes when you're so overwhelmed, you make decisions, hasty decisions, which turn out to be the wrong decisions, which is going to cost you your business. If you were to give yourself grace, give yourself the time to step back for just a second
Yeah.
and evaluate the overall picture, now you can make an educated decision for your business in moving forward. But if you're unable to do that because you're so busy, like trying to catch it, like catching a fish, it's not going to be good for you in the long run, in the long
Yeah.
term. Another thing, so grace is the number one. And then the number two would go back to that time management piece. A lot of CEOs, and I have clients who are CEOs of multi-million dollar businesses,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like their business is their baby while having babies. And then they're not
Oh.
time to their family. And so they feel like, oh, I have to choose. This is just what it is. But you can have both. That's the importance of a good team. As a leader, your job is to hire the team that can make your vision real.
Yeah.
That's your job, right?
Yeah.
You're the visionary as a
Yeah.
CEO, but you can't be everything. You can't be holding the hat, burping the baby, creating the, at NASDAQ on the trying to sell a company. You can't do all
That's
of the
it.
things. That's what the
That's
team
it.
is for. You will not see Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or any of these heavy hitters. You ain't even gonna see Oprah Winfrey sitting up there doing all the work herself. You're gonna see them have a team. This is my executive VP doing this. This is my,
Absolutely.
please refer to that team. You see,
Yeah.
look, y'all seen Mark Zuckerberg more than a few times refer to his tech
Yes.
team. I am not aware of that. Please, tech team. I don't know.
Listen, your brother be
So
this dude definitely be on there like, I didn't even know that happened.
right, I could have done that. I don't know.
Right.
How his responses are. I don't know. Or did
Hello,
you know there's
somebody.
a data breach? I don't know.
Right.
So yes.
I love that. I love that because sometimes we don't give ourselves grace. I think that time management is one of the biggest pieces when it comes to entrepreneurship. That's something even too, like y'all, I'm working on for myself because that's one of the biggest things is being able to truly take time to plan it out. Like take time to plan it out. Like my coach actually has me in that season right now to where, I'm having to plan out my calendar for the whole next year, then the next, like putting important dates on there, when are my power hours each day, when am I going to be highly productive in the day, even factoring in times for breaks. And I think that's one of the biggest disciplines, especially if you are looking to scale and go to that next level. That is just required. Like, I don't know of any high level entrepreneurs who are unorganized.
Mm. Mm.
I can't. I can't name one. I
That's
can't
right.
name one. I can't name one who has not mastered time management. So I think that is like we talk about like truly like having keys to the kingdom. Like that is it. That's keys to to the culture
The
for
keys.
man,
Yes.
period. It's just a key. Like
Mhm.
that's the only way that we're going to accelerate. Hello, sis. That's the only way that we're going to be able to accelerate and get to that next level is being able to manage our time.
Yes.
And I think it's hard because as entrepreneurs, if you are trying to work on everything, being able to take that time apart or aside and actually physically do your calendar. Like, I think that me actually sitting down and doing that for next year, it was actually refreshing. Like, it increased, I mean, it like decreased my anxiety because I was like, everything I already had, I'm not going to forget anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's already on the calendar. I have the events on the calendar. I have important dates, vacate. Like, I got it on the calendar. So it makes it to where I can be a lot more productive with the time that I do have, because that's the most valuable thing that I have is my time.
Mm-hmm. You have to be the protector of it as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
because if you're not protecting your time, people will take it, and you never can get that back.
Ooh,
You
I love
can't get it back. So you have to honor your time. I talk to some of my clients are mothers and moms, and some of the things that they go through when they're, just had a baby is like, well, how am I going to be able to still breastfeed, for example, and still manage my desk? It's like,
yeah.
there is no option. That's where the
Yeah.
confidence piece comes in, right?
Period.
I feel
Yeah.
like, I'm not giving you another one. There
Right.
is no other option. This is my schedule, and this
Right.
is what you're sticking to. You've again, that goes back to brand. This is what I'm talking about on my podcast this week. Building a brand. You have
Yeah.
to build a brand that's so needed. It's like Amazon. You
Yes.
may complain about Amazon. You may say, their prices are higher than going to the store or whatever. But you know what you're going to do? Use Amazon, still buy
Period.
that product, still do the
Yes.
thing, because you have faith in Amazon. They've
Yes.
created such a brand that if it says it's going to be here tomorrow between 8 and 10, it's going to be there.
Don't be there.
99% of the time,
Don't
right?
be there.
So you're not going to no longer use this because maybe it takes a week. You're going to just be patient and wait. You may complain every day, like, man, what happened to that next day shipping? Not available. Okay.
That part.
You're
That
still going to
part.
use it. So you
Yes.
have to create a brand like that for yourself, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, it may not always be 100% of this. Life happens in the mix. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to go with it, go with the
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So even too, okay, so Adrian said the challenge I have sometimes is mentally disconnecting from the previous task so I can be present with the next. Ooh, Coach Willena, I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it.
So sometimes we need to schedule resets, right? If we're doing the Pomodoro method, for example, we need to kind of have a little bit of a reset time, even if
Yeah.
it's walk around your building, walk to the kitchen, turn on a quick song to reset. Forget that particular task. And that way, when you come back, you've got a little moment of renewal. You've gotten some fresh air. Now you can move on to the next thing. Now, am I saying between every task you need to take a 30-minute break? That's your business. Okay. I don't know what your company you got going on, but they'll give you a couple minutes. Right now, if you're a call center and you're tethered to the phone, that's different. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Get out of there as fast as you can. But until then,
You
let us
got to talk that talk, Coach. Talk that talk.
we've been there. Okay. Well, let us help you get out of there. But otherwise, I would just take a few minutes, a break to hit that reset button and then come back with a fresh perspective so you can move on to the next task.
I love that. I love that. Adrian, did that help you? I hope that helped you.
Hello.
I think one of your mentees and your students are in here.
Yes. Hello. I got us synced to my LinkedIn now. So
Perfect.
we'll
Okay. Okay.
come in.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Okay, let me see. I can afford a 10-minute break between tasks. I work remotely in tech. Yes. So Adrian is actually one of my clients. So she just made a transition into tech. So I'm very excited for her.
Congratulations.
Yes. And definitely was an educator.
And what is she doing now?
What are you doing now, Adrian, in tech? It's some program.
Program manager, probably.
I think that may be it. Hold on. Let's see if she's on here. Let me get the exact role this is. And the reset is yes. Absolutely. I know I feel it just being a business owner. Like I do the same thing, project management. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same thing as far as like taking that time to be able to like reset, reframe, I mean, you really do have to deplug, because if
Mhm.
not, it gets very overwhelming. Very overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Again, own your time, respect the time. And if you know
absolutely.
that you just finished a really big task, like take a second.
Yeah,
Take a second.
yeah.
You're going to need it anyway, because if you're sitting and staring at the computer daydreaming about something completely different, you're not getting no work done no way. So you just
Listen,
would you rather spend 10 minutes staring at your computer in a blank stare, or would you rather go take a quick walk, come back and do the job?
that's it. That's it. Man, I am just here for it. I'm here for it. So, of course, y'all already know, like, I don't hold you too long, because the career chats can go, we can just go. I'm a talker, so I'm learning the discipline of cutting it. But Adrian, you're on here. Make sure you go and watch the replay of this, because like literally Coach Willena gave you step by step what you can do to even go now further to get into some executive roles and utilizing this experience. And so definitely make sure you check the replay out for this. And
Yes.
everybody else who are trying to even make a career pivot and transition into tech, like, we're here for you. Like,
Yeah.
literally, no, two career coaches online right now, like just talking, having a conversation, because we really do want to create impact and help you guys get the results that you need. Like, how powerful is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yes. All right. So closing out, I have one question.
Mhm.
Um, because you are in the executive coaching, you're doing recruiting, um, and I know that you're primarily like running your business and all of that. So if you could say probably um, give me two things that you want to work on in the next 2 years.
Mhm.
She is Dan. Willena is the bomb.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. It's duh.
Mhm.
So give me two things that you want to work on, and then give me one thing that you know you'll have accomplished probably within the next 3 years.
So I am continually working on, of course, growing the business. I believe in growing through partnerships and collaboration. You don't have to do it alone. You can
Absolutely.
do it with a team and with other
That's
people who
it.
do the same thing, such as yourself. So I intend to grow more through partnership. I don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
I've got a great group of people in my corner that support me, as you can see, and we all want to win, and we
Absolutely.
can all win together. So,
Yes.
leaning in on the community piece. Um, and then the next 3 years, I am really looking to create a global footprint on my coaching. I've had clients, of course, all over the world, but I'd like it to be on an even larger scale,
Yeah.
because we all need it. At some point in your career, there was probably a point where you're like, man, I wish I had someone who could help me through this, or tell me, or give me some guidance, right? There's probably mistakes you could have avoided had someone just told you, hey, why don't you take this route?
Yeah.
So I'd like to do that and help more individuals, especially from a diverse, diverse people,
Absolutely.
individuals, backgrounds. But that's really what I want to do.
Yeah.
Help more people. Dan is saying it right. Speak on more stages, engagements,
Yes.
things like that.
That's it.
But I'm doing it right. It just takes one day
Absolutely.
at a time.
Absolutely.
I'm doing the thing, connecting with the people like yourself, and things will come. How about you? What are your goals?
Um, that is actually one of my things. Like, I want to be in the next like 3 years. I want to be one of the top like career consulting firms. Like, I want to change the whole way that we approach helping people get to careers.
Mm,
I feel like our educational system has failed us
mm,
in a very big scope and sense. And so I really do want to, I want to change how we're doing that. And I want to partner also, and collaborate with other organizations that we can literally be the blueprint for what it needs to look like moving forward of how we, one, get people to careers, but also help create economic mobility for yeah, for Black professionals, to be honest. Like, yeah, that's ideally what I want to be able to do in the next 3 to 5 years. Like, I want to be able to change that. So
And
yeah,
so it is so. And it will be.
it will
We're
be it.
speaking it into existence. So
That's it. That's it.
look at
And that's
this
all we gotta
replay
do.
in 3 years.
That's
Yep.
it. We just got to keep speaking it, putting it out there. But I really do appreciate this conversation because we kept talking about it. We kept saying, like, we gonna do something. We gonna do something, right? And the time has finally come. And so this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Coach Willena, for just your time, your input, your feedback, your experience and expertise. Like, I know we had to get a snapshot of everything in the last like 50 minutes, but you have completely added so much value to not only my platform, but the people that are, listening and engaging, but also the people who are going to catch the replay of it. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You're doing amazing things. I see you constantly. I will continue to root for you in public and behind the scenes. So I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, hubby.
Like, who's that? Good job. Good job.
Right. It's always the root on. I appreciate it. But thank you again. And we'll readjourn. Like, you guys continue. Thank you so much, sis. Absolutely. Just here for it, right? The excellence is here. Like, we're just doing it. And for many of y'all don't know, but Coach Willena, she is actually not even here in South Carolina. Like, I wanted to be able to bring people to this platform that people can actually gain exposure to. Like, I'm really big on exposure. And so, our relationship was through LinkedIn. And so just to be able to come back and everything be like completely full circle, but you're not even here in Greenville. So I do appreciate you just taking the time. I really do.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I am here in sunny, well, not currently sunny, but it's 73 degrees outside in the winter. So I'm just enjoying Florida for what it is.
Right. I was about to say, enjoy
I'll
all
make
of
you
it.
jealous.
Listen, I was about to say, when you just said Florida, I already know my husband gonna be like, she in Florida? Like, he is like a fishing fanatic.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Fishing, yeah. And Florida is definitely the place for that.
Yes, yes. I had some friends that came over and told me that they went fishing literally right down the street and caught a baby shark.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So come on to Tampa. There's plenty of fishing opportunities.
We coming. I'm telling you, we coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for joining the platform. And please make sure you stay connected to us. Next week, also, once again, Clarity Convos. Y'all just don't know who's stopping by you. Like, you literally just got to log in. Like, y'all just gonna have to come and see. Like, I'm not posting it until the day of who's going to be our guest, but you don't want to continue. You don't want to miss these conversations. They're going to be impactful, resourceful, and we want to be able to help you guys get into higher paying careers. All right. Thank y'all so much, and I'll see y'all later. I'm signing out. Yeah.